Geez Louise. Exciting times ahead, folks. Something to do with our time and our energy that is constructive, and it's going to restore the Republic.
You're tuned in to the National Intel Report, the Real Talk Radio Show.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you for being patient here. It was important that Louise came on the air with the largest audience that this network garners to tell them who this woman is and about the Elected Representative Network. This is going to be a whole lot of fun. And if we didn't have targets painted on our backside before, we're certainly going to have them now. They don't like the political game, the apple cart being upset. Well, it's a cartload of rotten apples, and it's got to be done away with. And we're going to do the things the right way, power back in the states, residing with the people. And, gentlemen, I'm enthused. It took a lot to get me motivated and, after 17 years of doing this, bringing the bad news, finally some solutions. What do you think about the idea, Bob?
I think it's great, and it will give direction to a number of people who have a number of good ideas, and to bring them together as a solid force. And hopefully that can be accomplished. It's not easy, but one of the things that we've been doing away with here, I would say in the last 3 or 4 years, is a dichotomous situation, which is called a left-right paradigm. And I've seen, perhaps over the last 10 years and more so over the last 5, people coming from either end of the political spectrum into the center. And not because of a great change in political philosophy, but because I think people are starting to realize that we're beating ourselves, and we've got to get together as a people and try to accomplish which needs to be done, which you've just described. I started to do this back in 1964 with Anthony Hilda, and we had very limited success because people were even more hardcore to their party then than they are now. And so, of course, we didn't have the Internet, and we didn't have radio access really until the 1980s. I remember going on with Alan Stang in the early 80s in Glendale, California, and we finally, could get a voice out there. In fact, during the 70s and early 80s, it was much easier for me to get on television than it was on radio. And so I've been through it all, and that is the direction to go. We have got to get all of these thieves out of Congress, and that's what they are. They're getting paid off through campaign contributions and all of the other devious things that go on in the form of payoffs, and we got to get rid of lobbying, and if we can get the right people in there, we can get rid of it. We got to find a way to pass legislation to do away with executive orders. I mean, what's the sense in having a constitution and the president can turn around and say, hey, we don't like that, so we're not going to do it?
Well, exactly. And the one thing that is absolutely necessary, we're going to give an option. We're going to give a choice. We're going to give a platform. And if people really want their country back, they're tired of the same old political games, the left-right paradigm, which, by the way, when you mentioned it, Bob, I was thinking, people will clamor for, give me something in between because I don't like the extremes. Well, the extremes in this country was if you were a true Republican, well, the left would deem you as being too conservative. If you were a true Republican, conservative, constitutionalist kind of person, well, then obviously you were viewed by the left as being way out there politically and an old stodgy guy that didn't have ideas or whatever. But the problem is they gave us communism, socialism on one side of the aisle and neocon perspective, empire building, money spending, industrial complex, corporate, you name it, of which people would look at it and go, wait a minute, how can I identify with people that don't represent me? They're too busy representing their interest, business interest, and sundry other things that, what about me? And what about my freedom? What about my liberty? What about my ability to choose? That has gone by the wayside. And Bob, I'll tell you what, as I was talking to Louise, and I've said this before, and I meant it, Michael Vick, his biggest bad dog would be afraid to bite this woman. I mean, this woman has been run off the road. She's been tased. She's been shot at. I said, we're going to be moving in circles here. And some of the ideas that she has got and the legislation that she has personally drawn up that's in the hands of some 40 state legislators right now on the issue of health care. I told her, I said, politics is the art of compromise. A politician will accept if a deal if he gets something out of it. He may not get all of what he wants, but if he gets something, he's satisfied. He runs back to his constituents and says, hey, look at me. Look what I did. Give me a vote for the next term. I said, we're now moving into the realm of entrenched billionaire-backed people and moneyed and business interests that they ain't going to like being messed around with. And she said, I am fully aware of that. So we are on the same page. If you wanted to see John Stadtmiller in female form, that's definitely Louise Gillespie, because she's got no fear and she doesn't care because she wants her country back. Enough of this. Enough of this angst, this absolute insanity, the destabilization, the heartache, all the things that make your life miserable. We are now living through right now, and enough is enough. So if the people want their government back, they want their country back, they want their republic back, we're going to give them an opportunity to show it with honest and true direction. Robbie, you're about to say something. Was it something like, I may not have to move after all?
No, well, I mean, Americans need to get over this Cub fan phenomena. And if you understand Cub fans, you understand what I just said.
If you understood Lions fans, they are right there with the Cubbies.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate using a sports analogy, but it's the best one I can find. People are diehard Cub fans. I don't know if it's hereditary because their fathers were Cub fans or their grandfathers were Cub fans. But even though the Cubs have sucked for their entire existence and have never won a single thing in 100-odd years, you will not find more loyal, devoted fans in the sports world than Cub fans.
After I checked the Tigers and what they're doing, I agree with you. And what is it about that? Perennial losers?
Yeah.
People, will they rally for the lost cause? Do they support that? Well, geez, if we can infuse and we can get these people, now you Cubby fans out there, this is no slight against you, but you're going to have something a little bit better to do than sit around perennially hoping that your Cubs win the series this season. By the way, we're all in the same club because we all hate the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, you understand what I mean.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's the world we find ourselves in. And it may all become a moot point in 2010, because I think 2010, Bob may not agree with me on this one, but I think we meet Waterloo in 2010.
Well, Bob, that brings around another point that I wanted to bring up today. Not that we have hours at our disposal, but the decade in review, or at least the year in review. Hell, it's been so bad, I don't know if I could stomach the last month in review. But what do you see going on now? Let me lay down some premise here. I've been watching the Idiot Box, I've been watching the Bloombergs, and I've been watching the Economist, the Wall Street cheerleaders, and lo and behold, the depression fears are subsided. The recession is still going on, but we're climbing out of that. Part of me, Mr. Chapman, says, gosh, thank God. But the other rational, logical part of me says, balderdash. There's a lot of cheerleading going on now. They're predicting not great things for 2010, but the new norm is not going to be the old fall down, we're falling apart norm. They're predicting auto sales, albeit, is going to increase a little bit. Manufacturing orders are going to increase. They're painting a picture as we're coming out of this. Mr. Chapman, geez, it all sounds so rosy, doesn't it?